there's always been the story because people heard about it through songs, and then I don't want to harp on it on him because he's passed. But can you tell me about the story from when you guys with the row were out in Vegas and you ran into Bad Azz? I think Corrupt had returned at this point.
Yeah, well, my situation with Bad Azz was such. A very good friend of mine at the time, back in the day, from Linwood neighborhood, named Kilo, had a relationship with Bad Azz that preceded our relationship. We met in prison, actually, on my first time in prison, Avenal State Prison, and we became tight. Our people used to ride together to come visit and shit like that. And once he realized I was a rapper, and or that I can rap, because I wasn't yet a rapper. I was just a rapper. I wasn't a rapper, but I was a rapper. When he realized that, he was like, Bad Azz, my boy. And from whatever relationship they had, Bad Azz had owed him a favor. And he was like, man, I'm gonna tell him, fuck that, man. Fuck whatever he's supposed to do for me. I'm gonna tell him just to try to do whatever he can for you. And so that was something he had pledged toward me or guaranteed me. And then once we got out of prison and some time passed, I had the opportunity to meet Bad Azz, like the homie had suggested that I was gonna be able to do. And I did this whole rap thing for Bad Azz. And he was like, he listened and he was like, yeah, you dope. But then he gave me this, what I considered at the time to be this Hollywood story about, man, I ain't Bad Azz, I'm Jamar. Every morning, Jamar, when Jamar wake up, he got to kick Bad Azz in the ass and wake him up. And you got to do this. And he was giving me all this little fly game, which in the long run turned out to make a lot more sense than it did day one. I just thought he was being real Hollywood. So I forget as to what he said he would do from that point on as a meeting. But whatever it was, he didn't follow up with it. And he fell out of communication with the homie. So the homie was just saying like, when I see that nigga, I'm gonna knock him out. And then, so when you my dog, and it's like that with a certain nigga, and I'm affiliated with the situation, it just automatic in my mind, like whoever see him first, we gonna knock him out. You know, it was just, that had been the understanding between me and the nigga that introduced me to Bad Azz. Like, fuck her, see cuz it's on. So once I got with the role, now there's a mutual disdain for dude with the people I'm with, of course. So I can recall being in Las Vegas, and I remember Corrupt was sitting on a bench in the parking lot next to Bad Azz, and I was on my own tip. I'm sitting down next to Corrupt, and I get in his ear. I'm telling him I'm finna fuck cuz up. And Corrupt was like, please, Spider, don't do it, cuz. Don't do it, not bad. He like, don't do it, don't do it. So I told Corrupt, like, all right, I'm gonna give cuz a pass. I ain't gonna do it. So I went on from that little area. We still hanging out in the parking lot, a whole lot of little shit going on. And then I could recall Suge like calling me over like, Spider. When I came over there, he was having a conversation with Bad Azz about the whole little beef shit. And I forget the exact wording, but it was obvious this conversation wasn't going the way Suge wanted it to go. And I said a word or two to try to like get myself in it, and Bad Azz tried to go big, and I went bigger. And I got off on cuz. I can remember when I got off on cuz, I didn't really hit him that clean. And Suge main security, I think his name was Marquez at the time. He was like an ex-police kind of big nigga. And when he caught the punch harder than Bad Azz did. I went in Bad Azz jaw, but it slipped off his jaw and went straight in Marquez's jaw. And I remember Suge security grabbed me, like, this my boy though, but he grabbed me, and I'm trying to tell him, man, you know that was an accident. And like, he was shaking me to the point where some of the other people around us had to calm him down. He had to apologize to me the next day. He's like, he probably ain't never got hit and hadn't got hit in years. And it just like, he snapped. Like I seen the demon coming out of Kaz. He was finna try to choke me out, on my mama. But then once I swung on him, oh man, God bless the dead. This is only being shared to, like you say, we're not trying to slander the dead. It's just historically happened. The Pyrus that we was with, they put a pounding on that boy. a bad one. He was like, a ping pong machine, how a ball just bing, bing, bing. It seemed like he just could not find any spot in the parking lot where he can go that way. They was go that way. And he had to be super potted up because he a little bitty nigga and he was just like bouncing off all that shit. And then I can recall one of the homies, shout out my nigga Noriega. I remember cause God bless Bad Azz cause he got to live long past this moment. But that evening, although I did initiate him getting kind of fucked up, I also saved his life because, certain niggas, man, when it's that type of activity, the next level is always potential. And I can recall looking up and seeing my nigga like having Bad Azz with the burner in his stomach, like looking for the okay, like, I'm like, no, oh. But it was a dundada. Like, this a serious nigga. We was not playing. All he needed was that ear, and it would have been a doo-doo. So, yeah, that was an interesting night in my life as far as hip-hop is concerned. Rest in peace, Bad Azz, on my mama.
Okay. On the Dysfunctional Family soundtrack, you had a solo song, but you also had a verse on a song called "The Row," where you went at Daz. You went at you discussed the relationship between Suge and Daz's wife, and then you discussed Snoop's mom. Can you tell me if that was something that you were no one can force you to do anything, but was that something that was encouraged to get on the record? Did
Most
people
definitely.
to try to get a placement?
You can. I would say a word that would be quite applicable would be manipulation to this, in the sense that being on the back burner, not really getting called up to bat for a large majority of the time of recording. Suge knowing you really want to get down, cause like when he first, that's like an opportunity. Like, okay, it's your turn, but he throw you on the bullshit ass, controversial ass this shit instead of a regular record. But you caught up in between wanting to get cracking and not really wanting to be messy when you don't really have a personal reason to. But you young, you a fool, you a nut, you on some fuck everything. You wish it's like, so what? Let's get it cracking. So a lot of the information that I utilized was shit that I was told, like about who, like I didn't never know Snoop mama name. Even at me, the most disrespectful things I said about her toward the end, God bless her soul, rest in peace. Those things were directly told me. Like after I finished my verse, walked out the booth, and Suge was like, yeah, go back in there and say, that's why I'm fucking your mom, Beverly. And then I went in there and said it, and never was really comfortable with that at all, ever, just in my own inner soul. I just never felt clean, but I did it anyway. And yeah, you said I reference Suge fuck on somebody's wife. That ain't nothing I knew about. That's just some shit that niggas was telling me. So I just wrote the verse to try to fit into the concept of the record. And what I always tend to attempt to do, even when I'm doing like diss records, is I try to just stick to facts. I don't do a whole bunch of like jokes and making up shit or do weird threats. I just try to utilize the facts in order to show why you ain't a piece of shit. So those are the few little facts that I considered myself able to round up, coupled with some things I was already aware of. And yeah, that's how that shit came about. Rest in peace, Gangsta Red. Easter Beast, what it do, nigga?
And a little bit after that, Snoop had like a West Coast conference or a summit or something, and you had went and whispered something into his ear. I believe it was about that song or something, but because it was after you were with the Row. Can you explain what you said to him or what the interaction with Snoop was after that because of what was said on that song?
Yeah, well, what actually took place was, shout out Solo, my cousin Solo from Lil Mate. That was a West Coast conference. You see, it was compiled of just about everybody that had any type of industry presence whatsoever, from the highest level to the lowest level, from Snoop down to the any nigga you could think of. So the ironic thing was I was signed to G Unit at that time, and I was totally unaware of the meeting. So you see the spirit of the meeting, the type of people that was included, and I was excluded. So I could recall Solo calling me just random one day, asking me like, "You ain't going up to that shit up at the Universal Sheraton?" I'm like, "Nah, what shit? They having a whole little West Coast woo wop wop." I'm like, "No." He like, "Yeah, that shit started like an hour ago, cuz all them niggas up there right now." I'm like, "Say less." I shoot up there. Now, my mind is, damn, I got this energy in the air with Snoop. I know he fuck with 50. On some Crip shit, I know I need to holler at cuz. And on some man shit, make an attempt to clear the air just to make sure, you know, shit is all kosher as motherfuckers is functioning and networking and moving around and collabing. So that was something I felt like I had a responsibility to handle. So that was my main motivation for wanting to go to the event and holler at Snoop. So when I actually got there and I had a chance to have an audience with him, I took that opportunity to acknowledge the song, kind of describe, you know, the mind frame of being around Suge at that time, which he could relate to. And I made an apology as sincere and as I could for, you know, saying the specific things about his mother. That's what I specified my apology around. And cuz just he listened and it seemed in a very sincere fashion. He was like, "I ain't tripping, just keep it crippin', cuz we straight." And from then on, I thought we were proceeding with a relationship that was cool. I know how to keep it crippin'. That's one thing I can do quite well. So once he left it at that, that's easy for me to do. So however, uh, I had got engaged with the back and forth with the bitch boy Doja based on the GU not G unit shit. And Snoop wasn't he couldn't tolerate that. He said Doja is his homeboy and uh, I need to be cool with everybody and he ain't tolerating no dissing and beefing on the West Coast. And G Unit can't say you cuz. And 50 tucked his tail. That's what happened.